God. Oh, man. That's what they did to me right now, man. They got me on the new tab. So let me change this up. Let me put it right here with it so y'all can see something. A lot of struggle in the game for me today, baby. I've been absent a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I've been gone from the game. I ain't been giving y'all the updates and nothing like that. So excuse me for that. But salute to the people, man. I'm here. I'm back with it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to take a little break just so you can be great. Now, if you want me to be real, I'm not even going to cap, man. It's just, you know what I'm saying, Christmas was cool, you know what I'm saying? Took the day off, all that good shit. Had the week off. Kind of enjoyed Christmas. Got a little bit lazy, man. Got out of the vibe. You know, people be in the Christmas spirit and shit like that. I was in the Christmas spirit to an extent, but, you know, at the same time, life still comes regardless of the holidays. But no excuses. I'm not going to sit here and make no excuses for any reason why I've been gone and no bullshit like that, man. As long as I'm back, that's all that motherfucker matters, right? And I am. And first and foremost, I want to say sorry about the camera, man. It's a little bit out of focus. I've been trying to fuck with it. I've been trying to get it back into focus, but it's been a little pussy. So I'm not even going to worry about it tonight. I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying, do this live, get back on track, show some love, you know what I'm saying, to the Black Goose family. Want to be back. But y'all see the topic below as always. Y'all know how I do it, man. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little mic check, make sure shit sounds cool. I already know the video ain't what the picture ain't what I want it to be, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's part of the game. At least we here, you know what I'm saying? Show some love, you know what I'm saying, to the Black Goose family. You want to be back, but yeah, that's dope. Even though the picture ain't what I want it to be, at the very least, at least we got some good sound, right? And that's the goal of the whole entire joint. I don't know if y'all can hear the music. I got the music playing in the background just so I can have a little bit of vibes up in this joint. But I'm gonna turn it down, man, just so I can hear my goddamn self, man. And I can, by the way. It's like me acting like I don't. But what's up, man? Salute to the people, man. Happy Tuesday to everybody up out here, man. The beginning of the week is basically out of here, man. We about to be up in the midweek, man. To anybody, you know what I'm saying, who is with the Black Goose family, following the Black Goose family, man. Salute to y'all rocking with me, man, through all the ups and downs, all the good shit, man. We about to be at the end of the year, man. Man. Salute to that. You know what I'm saying? Salute to 2020. 2020 was crazy, man. Anybody who experienced know this shit was wild, man. Wild year, like a motherfucker. But I would say, me personally, I think it was a good year for, you know, sports, or if you want to talk about combat sports. Excuse me. 2020 was a solid year, man. 2020 was definitely a solid year. We got 2021 coming up. We got motherfuckers saying COVID's about to be even crazier. So, you know what I'm saying? We might not see much of a change when it comes to the lifestyle. But at the very least, man, we got through the year. And that's a salute, man. We got boxing this weekend. You know what I'm saying? I will be doing a live on the boxing fight, obviously, that's coming on Saturday with Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I just want to go live real quick, you know what I'm saying, cover some topics since I haven't been talking about nothing lately, probably like in the last like 3-4 days, that I would love to cover. Expect to see me today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. At least expect to see me live the next 3 days, man, because I feel like there's a lot of topics that could easily be covered, that could easily be talked about. And I kind of, since, you know what I'm saying, I was sitting back, you know what I'm saying, chilling, doing my thing. You know, there's a lot of things I can go ahead and, you know, discuss, share my topic, do what I do, you know what I'm saying. But salute to the people, man. Let's get up in this. Let's get up into the topics. Let's talk about it. By the way, man, if you guys are not part of the family, if you're not part of what we're doing over here, man, you better get started with it. You better salute to the people. Salute to your boy. You better hit that subscribe button, goddammit. Hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, 2020 is about to be over. We got some big things for the channel happening in 2021. I've been telling them a long time, Black Goose family members, about the changes that are going to come. I promise you, they still are. I have not forgotten about YouTube. Money is coming, and it's going to be coming into this thing. So y'all just rock with me. We're going to have some dope shit going. Also, we still doing the do everything every day, do something every day challenge. That's still happening. I know I ain't posted about it yet. Posted about it in the last like 2-3 days, but that doesn't mean I stopped. I still am getting my shit in. I just, you know what I'm saying, like I said, man, you know, Christmas, weekend, holidays, you know what I'm saying, work off, all that stuff, you get a little gluttonous, you know what I'm saying, you're getting your gluttony, so you start enjoying shit, and I got a little bit of weight, but I'm back. We gonna, you know what I'm saying, ramp things up, we gonna get things started, we gonna get things straight, and we're gonna be 100 with it no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So salute to the people on that. So let's talk about it, man. It's not gonna be too much of a live, or too long of a live. You know what I'm saying, I'm just gonna talk my ass off for the most part, and we're gonna talk about some future fights happening in 2021 that is speculated, expected, and supposedly supposed to be happening when it comes to this. Unfortunately, man, my thumbnail's trash. Like, I'm looking at my thumbnail right now. The thumbnail is complete trash. All you see is me with a white background. because of how I started. But that's okay, man. Sometimes it starts rough, but it ends strong, and that's the goal, and that's what we want to be on, right? So salute to the people for that. Let's get into it though on 100. And once again, I apologize for my goddamn camera, man. For some reason, this joint is out of focus. I did everything I can to get it back in focus. With the little bit of time I had, I just got back from work. Excuse me, not back from work, but I just got back from the gym not too long ago. I haven't been home all day because of work, and I go to the gym, all that good stuff. So I didn't want to toy with it too long, because I'm like, man, if I toy with it too long, I'm never gonna motherfucking go live knowing how I am. So you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to go ahead and get that done. So, who is Canelo Alvarez? And if y'all see the title, man, we're talking about the two biggest names in boxing right now. Arguably, obviously, that's a very opinion based. But if you want to talk about the names that we probably see the most when it comes to the boxing news, it's definitely Errol, Spence, and it's definitely Canelo. If we're talking about outside the heavyweights, AJ's in there pretty good. Deontay Wilder's in there pretty good. Tyson Fury's in there pretty good. But if you really want to talk about what we usually see on a day-to-day basis, man, when it comes to a fighter's name, it's got to be Canelo number one, and then obviously it's Errol Spence right behind him. That's my opinion. Two big names in boxing. These are the guys people are talking about. These are the guys people want to see. So with that being said, with them being so substantial in the sport of boxing, with the sport of boxing basically making a comeback in 2020 and hopefully making an even stronger comeback in 2021, what is two of the biggest stars in the sport going to do to keep that stardom bright and then also keep propelling the sport into a whole entire different level? What is that? What are they going to do? It all comes down to who they're going to fight, who they said they're going to fight, who they might be calling out, and who they agreeing to. Now, we all know Canelo has never really been one to call anybody out. Canelo's never really been one to say, hey, this is the guy that I want, right? Canelo likes to do his things behind the scenes. He likes the reports to go out, and all these different reports we always will see of who he's supposed to fight, and the fight's getting close to getting signed and all this type of stuff, and usually ends up fighting the exact opposite of the person that they say. But you know, it's the media, it's the boxing media, and that's how it goes. So nothing changes here, man. If y'all could see, obviously, I got the page up. It's from BoxingNews24.com, and y'all see who's expected 2 fights that he will be having next year. Now, will there be a third fight that he's going to be having in 2021? I don't think he'll be fighting 3 times in 2021, especially if we have the COVID ramping back up, especially if they have to be very limited. Excuse me for the sirens outside. It's going to pass real quick, so hopefully that's not too loud, right? But, you know what I'm saying, especially with COVID ramping back up, if they end up limited, you know, if we end up taking a step back from where we're at in the latter months of 2020 going into 2021, because everything is ramping back up, you know what I'm saying, there's no reason for, you know, big superstar money making boxing guys to fight 3 times in a year, because most likely, you know what I'm saying, the promotional company, the parent company, the broadcasting company, whatever it may be, the network promoters, they'll essentially be losing money, because obviously there's not going to be any type of revenue coming from the gate. But let's say things keep going how they're going, similar to kind of how like the businesses and restaurants are doing it when it comes to COVID, and motherfuckers trying to say for us to shut down, for them to shut down, all these type of things. They just like, man, nah, we can't take that. We just got to run through it. Hopefully it's the same as sports, man. Hopefully they start opening up more opportunities for fans to be able to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? More states, more commissions are going to be allowing fans to come in, even if it's at a limited capacity, because that can mean we can see some pretty big fights in 2021. But it all, you know, it's all speculation. But let's go ahead and hit the topic at hand. By the way, if you guys are right here, man, you're not part of the family, please hit the subscribe button. If you have not hit that like button, hit the like button. It helps a lot. But let's get to it, man. Right here, baby. Canelo to fight Yarde on February 27th and Saunders in May on DAZN. Now, obviously, this is not something that is concrete in what it says, right? And what I mean by concrete is, earlier what I was touching on is when it comes to Canelo's never the dude to put in work in that ring, make the motherfucker look foolish, and then on the mic after be like, this is who I want, so I'm going to go out. He always leaves that shit, or at least if you want to say in the last 3 to 4 years, he's always kind of left that shit speculation. He usually beats the guy who he beats, goes on about his day, and then he allows kind of the media to put out there, or he allows his promoters to put out there, you know, potential matchups and kind of see which one draws, I won't say the most attention, but probably makes the most sense when it comes to financially, legacy-wise, all this good stuff, right? He had just got done, you know, running through Colum Smith, you know, respectively. You know, respect to Colum for being able to do be able to do all 12 rounds, you know what I'm saying, with that bicep injury. I thought he was going to get stopped. I thought the body shots were going to be too crazy for him to handle. He was staying. Columbus Smith showed he is a top tier B plus level fighter, in my opinion, to be able to go all 12 rounds with Canelo. But he was just so outboxed, wasn't able to utilize any of his physical features as an advantage. It kind of showed the limitations when it comes to Columbus Smith, and that's what I call that's how I called the fight. Anyways, that was my prediction. I knew it was gonna be a pretty easy fight for Canelo. I thought it was gonna be one though that he was going to be able to impress in very. He was going to be able to win in a very impressive fashion. That's what I was assuming. But to me, it was lackluster. It was boring. If y'all saw my live, I didn't even get all the way through. You know what I'm saying? When it hit the 10th round, I was like, man, this is a landslide. I'm out of here. And that's kind of been the narrative to Canelo fights, in my opinion. Shit. At least in the last 3 years, right? Or how about I say this? Ever since boxing wanted to make Canelo the guy, you know what I'm saying? Even though you see how much power ESPN has with continually ranking Terrence Crawford as the number one pound for pound guy, a lot of people will argue, man, that's bullshit. It should be Canelo. I agree with that. As much as I love Terrence Crawford, Canelo definitely should be the number one pound for pound guy. But either way it goes, because all that shit is politics. Either way it goes, if we want to talk about when Canelo became that guy, became the cash cow, became the second heir to Floyd Mayweather for what Floyd Mayweather did to boxing, people were trying to constantly, knock or grind or screw into our heads that Canelo is the next, Mayweather, and he's basically carrying the torch that Floyd, left and all this good stuff. To me, I actually don't believe the hype behind that. I think ever since that's happened, the media is so strong and it's so manipulative, and people are so, quick and keen to just listen to whatever the fucking media says and be brainwashed by it. You know what I'm saying? People, it's crazy how hyped up people are for a Canelo fight, and I feel like every time it disappoints. Like, I honestly don't remember the last time I saw a Canelo fight where I really enjoyed. And that may just be me. Y'all might be saying I'm biased, all that type of shit. I don't know how that's the case when I just said I think Canelo's the number one pound for pound. He should be over Terrence Crawford. But ever since, Canelo became that guy that the media is telling us that he is when it comes to boxing, the guy for boxing, he's the next Floyd, all that good shit, or took over Floyd's spot. Let's not say the next Floyd, but took over Floyd's spot, being, the one everybody wants to see box. I just feel like there has not been an impressive fight since then. You know what I'm saying? Or not, let me not say impressive, because he's had impressive victories. But, watching it, enjoyable. Like, we haven't really seen a good fight from Canelo other than, obviously, the Triple G fights. The two Triple G fights. That's the only time that we really saw, like, or in my opinion, where I saw a Canelo fight, and I was like, God damn, man, I can't wait for that next one, man. Like, what's he going to do now? Other than those two fights, everything else from Canelo's kind of just been like, man, like, I'm getting up, I'm excited. Like, the media is telling me I should be excited. Like, they telling me this is the fight I need to see, but when I'm watching, I'm just like, God damn. And a lot of people will argue the same thing about Floyd, right? They'll argue the same thing about Floyd, which, you know what I'm saying, I can't necessarily disagree with you on that, because if you're not necessarily that into boxing or understand the fundamentals of boxing, you can't really appreciate what Floyd did in the ring. And so some people might say, man, well, how you going to make that defense for Floyd, but you're not making that defense for Canelo? That's not what I'm doing, right? Because even though Floyd was a magician in the ring, he still had boring fights. Like, I'm not saying the opposite of that. I'm not saying, oh, he was a magician in the ring, so that makes him have great fights, where somehow Canelo's not, and he's not having good fights. Nah, like, I put him in the same aspect. Like, Canelo's so much better than the opponents he's fighting. I'm not very impressed with the actual fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm not entertained. Where Floyd, it was very similar. Even though the difference between the two is Floyd was calling out dudes that motherfuckers wanted to see him fight, like, since day one. Like, he brought the aspect of entertainment to it. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that Canelo necessarily doesn't do. Part of it being because obviously he doesn't speak English at all. If he does, it's very little. So it's like he can't even be that guy to the aspect where he's rah-rahing outside of the fight to make more people be like, man, I want him to lose. And that's not even his character. That's not how he goes. He's always been a motherfucker who just walks to the ring, gets it done. You know what I'm saying? That was never Canelo's character, nothing like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times people may have been more entertained and more inclined to watch a Floyd fight simply because of the antics outside, and then a lot of times when they actually watch the fight, especially if you're not a boxing head, it disappointed or underwhelmed because obviously the style that Mayweather fights. When it comes to Canelo, there's no rah-rah outside of it, but the media does it for him, which is very interesting to me. Is that a ladybug? But the media does it for him, which is very interesting to me. They push Canelo and they tell us over and over, like, hey, this is the guy that you guys need to be watching. This is the guy you need to be impressed with. This is the boxing legend of now. And if you miss these fights, you're missing, greatness. You're missing history. But for me, it's just, man, I just feel that there's just such a lack. I don't want to say in competition because he's fighting solid opponents, but I just don't think the opponents that he's fighting is the opponents that we want to see, right? And there's not too many out there, right? You can name guys like a lot of people want to see Jamal Charlo versus Canelo. Some people believe he ducked Jamal Charlo by getting asking WBC to give the belt to Jamal and then just make me the franchise champion because at the time Jamal was a mandatory. I don't see it as ducking. I just think that's power. That's when you realize how powerful you are. You utilize that power, right? A lot of people will be like, well, it's ducking to the extent of, okay, you can do that and you can still fight Jamal. But like I always say what this whole channel is about, what it's based on is, it comes down to money and making sense. And at that time, he was still with Oscar De La Hoya. He was still with Golden Boy Promotions. I think a lot of what we've seen in the last 2 years when it comes to his opponents, I think a lot of that had to do with the rift happening in the Golden Boy Promotions. So this is me now. Everything I just said about Canelo, this is me now giving a reason in my head of why this has been happening in that type of way. And I think a lot of it had to do with the disagreements and how they were on two separate pages when it comes to Golden Boy Promotions and Canelo's team. I think a lot of the last 2 years, in my opinion, being because he did some great things, right? He did great things, and he's had great fights when it comes to the Triple G fights. But those are skeptical. Some people say he may have lost, but that's how the game goes sometimes, or either or. And then obviously what he did by moving up to light heavyweight and beating Kovalev, like those are going to be instrumental, monumental features in his legacy when you look back at this 10 years from now. You can be like, God damn, he really did that, right? Now, what I'm looking at is the opponents in between that, right? In between Triple G, in between Kovalev. And that's when you be like, okay, who's out there right now that you can fight, but you're choosing these guys instead? Or are you choosing, or however it's going? Because I always say there's no such thing as ducking in the sport to an extent, because obviously it's not just up to the fighter to choose who he wants to fight. There's so many different factors coming into the game because we're talking about a business, we're talking about money being made. But so this past year, obviously Canelo left Golden Boy, right? A lot of people said he was leaving the zone as well. That wasn't the case. It was kind of a team up between Canelo and the zone to be like, all right, we got to figure out a way to get Golden Boy Promotions the fuck up out of here. The only way we can do that, we got to make it look like we all ain't fucking with each other. All right, we all ain't fucking with each other. We get the fuck up out of here. And when you take them to court, most likely we probably going to help you with some of them legal fees. We're going to give you some money, whatever it is. Maybe, even though, I'm saying Canelo doesn't need that. He got bread on bread, but he's probably like, man, we got you. You know what I'm saying? If you need us, we got you. Splits with Golden Boy Promotions. Next thing you know, he's doing business with Eddie Hearn in the zone now. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as motherfuckers heard he's doing business with Eddie Hearn in the zone, you have to understand that his choices of the fighters is going to be limited to the aspect or the eye test of Americans, because we don't know many fighters in the stable of Eddie Hearn because a lot of them are UK based. Callum Smith, for example, right? People had an idea of who Callum Smith was in Americas, but you've seen the narrative that was being sold, to build up this fight wasn't what Callum has accomplished, but it's just his physical features, right? Whenever you hear the media people hype up the other boxers' physical features, this look at the size difference, most likely they ain't giving the motherfucker fighting a chance. They ain't giving the fight a chance because they know unless you know how to use this shit, unless you know how to use that shit all 12 rounds beautifully, nigga, that shit don't matter, nigga. Weight class matter. That's why there's different weight classes. That's what matters. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? With that being said, like when you just kind of look at the aspect, when you look at the level, the playing field, and all those type of things, the way I see it is like, okay, we need to see something from Canelo in these next year, 2 years possibly, where he is fighting someone, not necessarily with the big name, but with the credentials and skills that boxing hardcore fans want to see based out of the U.S. Because I feel like ever since Canelo did that DAZN deal, he kind of been like, fuck the U.S. not purposely, but it's just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Eddie Hearn giving me money, DAZN giving me big money, literally to fight these guys in his stable. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, with that being the case, you know what I'm saying? With that being the case, it's like, why do I even have to focus on what I'm doing in the States? So, you know, piggybacking off of what I was kind of just saying earlier, when it came what was going on with him deciding to be like, all right, once I leave Golden Boy, bye, I'm out of here. But now I'm doing business again with DAZN. You know what I'm saying? It was a planned move. And so what we're going to see, I think, in the next upcoming years for Canelo is Canelo fighting a whole lot of guys on the DAZN team. And if he does end up branching out away from DAZN, it's going to have to make sense financially, right? It's going to have to make sense financially. It's going to have to make sense for the legacy too. So that's going to be mad interesting to see. So let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of went on my rant enough. Y'all heard me talking my opinion on that shit. So let's get straight into the facts, man. Y'all see right here, man. Canelo to fight Yildirim on February 27th and Saunders in May on DAZN. Okay. So, like I said earlier, man, when it comes to Canelo, man, you're going to have a whole lot of reports on who he's going to fight, and a lot of times it falls through. Like, that's been happening with him a lot of time the last 2 years. Like, he was, you know how much speculation it was supposed to be for him to fight Triple G the third time in the last 2 years? He was supposed to fight Caleb Plant, you know what I'm saying? He was supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders. He was supposed to fight Columbus Smith, you know what I'm saying? He did recently end up fighting him, but a lot of the fights that he ends up taking, man, all these motherfuckers was projected to happen like way before, even before the corona shit, and then something else ends up coming into play. So that's kind of the way Canelo Alvarez, when it just kind of comes to who he's fighting next, how you looking at it, you got to take a lot of the reports on his opponents with a grain of salt because it changes so quickly. The only reason I do give some type of merit to this is because, let me scoot over real quick right here. He's a 2-fight deal for Canelo. So Eddie Hearn's conducting or negotiating a 2-fight deal for Canelo. So that means that Canelo is still deeply and heavily doing business with DAZN, right? Some can even say that even though Canelo, or some speculated, me myself speculated that Canelo was making a Floyd Mayweather move in the aspect of, all right, when he parts ways with Oscar De La Hoya, he's going to start his own promotional company, and then he's going to be doing joint promotional bouts, which he is. That's what he did in his last fight with Colum, right? But it's just starting, right? So you have to understand there's going to be that wiggle room. You know what I'm saying? The same thing that Triple G is doing, right? Canelo probably saw Triple G. He's like, man, if this motherfucker Triple G is doing it, why the fuck am I not doing it? Because you seen Triple G's last fight. It was Triple G Promotions in a company with Eddie Hearn, and that's what Eddie Hearn is willing to do. If you've noticed that's what Eddie Hearn and DAZN is willing to do. And they're willing to be like, you, as a fighter, y'all can come in with your own promotional company. Y'all can have half of the loot. We can split this however y'all want. But just give us the opportunity to host these fights, promote these fights, so on and so forth, and fight the fighters that I would like for you to fight, or at least look at the stable fighters I have, and those are the ones you're going to fight. Because what ends up happening is for DAZN, what they're trying to do, obviously, comes down to breaking into that U.S. market. That's where they don't have yet. So allowing these fighters that are popular in the U.S. market to come in, do co-promotional deals, have their own promotional company, make more money they would that way than if they were to be with Oscar De La Hoya, if they were to be with a Al Heyman, whatever it may be. It's very beneficial for the fighters, but for the fans, is it beneficial, right? Because like I said, a lot of the people in the DAZN stable, or a lot of the boxers, I should say, in the DAZN stable, the UK guys, or the guys that's real popular overseas, but the United States guy, United States fans, if you're not a boxing connoisseur, if you don't love boxing, you love everything about it, you're not gonna know about a lot of these guys. You're not gonna know about the credentials. You're not gonna know how good they are. You're just gonna know a name and be like, okay, he got a belt, or this is his record. You know what I'm saying? Which we already have a problem with that now in boxing, but it's crazy. I always be saying I don't want to be going long. I'm still on the first fucking topic. I've been going for like 20 minutes, so my bad. So let's hit this right now, man. So y'all see it, man. I don't really got to say it. Eddie Hearn negotiated 2-fight deal for Canelo against Yildirim in February and Saunders in May. And then we have another report to back it up. Canelo to fight Yildirim on February 27th and Saunders in May on DAZN. So the Billy Joe Saunders in May is something that's been consistent, right? That's not Cinco de Mayo, is it? Yeah, that's Cinco de Mayo. So Billy Joe Saunders for the May Cinco de Mayo. And remember what I told y'all. I said after the Columbus Smith fight, I thought personally it was going to be Canelo Triple G 3, You know what I'm saying? That was going to be next. If that wasn't next, it was going to be Billy Joe Saunders next. The Avni Yildirim fight is totally left field for me. I heard nothing about this. That's totally left field for me. But he is a WBC mandatory. So they already have the way if you read this, they have everything mapped out. They have the location, right? They have the date. So that tells me, in retrospect to when he was working with Golden Boy, this is clear and cut. This is straight. This is what it is. But it can change. It can change. Like I said, take this all with a grain of salt. But with a grain of salt. But here it goes. February 27th fight for WBA, WBC upper middleweight champion Canelo against the WBC mandatory Yildirim will be staged in Guadalajara, Mexico. That's the 30-year-old Canelo's hometown. That's another thing too. Hearn's gonna be like, Canelo, where the fuck you want to fight? It's up to you. I don't care where you want to go. Or when he's with Oscar De La Hoya, when he's with ESPN, hey man, we gotta pick Dallas, Texas. We gotta pick Las Vegas. That's where we're gonna get the most motherfucking money. That's where everyone's gonna be paying attention. That's where the revenue coming from, even outside, people booking hotels, all this stuff. That's what we gotta do it. Him by himself. Now he's like, nah, I can go to Guadalajara, Mexico. I can fight there because that's what I want to fucking do. And Eddie Hearn's gonna be like, hell yeah, man, wherever the fuck you want to fight, let's do it. You feel me? So let's go over here real quick because this is more recent. This article is from December 27th. This one's from December 29th. So it's kind of just like a confirmation. Eddie Hearn's working with Canelo Alvarez, trainer manager, on a 2-fight deal to match the Mexican star against the WBC mandatory challenger Avni Yildirim for February 27th and WBO super middleweight champion Billy Joe's for May 2021. In other words, Canelo will get 2 gimmies in his new 2-fight deal. So that's a opinion right there from Boxing 24. I wouldn't necessarily say Billy Joe was a gimme, but I definitely would say these 2 fights aren't exactly the fights people want to see. I don't mind the Billy Joe fight. That's going to be a good hyped fight. People are going to be excited for it, but I do think when we actually watch it, I think Billy Joe's going to get washed. I used to, at one point, think Billy Joe was a very elite middleweight. I still think he is if he was at middleweight. I've seen him at super middleweight. Just not the same fighter. It is what it is, man. Dude, he's slower. Jab isn't the same. His footwork isn't the same. Like, he's literally tailor-made for Canelo. If we were talking about middleweight, it'd be different. But as soon as I seen him make that jump to super middleweight, man, he just does not look like the same fighter to me. I cannot be on the Billy Joe Sanders bandwagon like I used to be because this man has not impressed me in his last 2 fights at super middleweight. It is what it is, especially since they were gimme fights. Now, maybe he'll wake up for Canelo and it'll be a whole different thing. But as of now, I think he washes Billy Joe, okay? And when it comes to, Yildirim, I haven't even seen Yildirim fight, and that's one of those where it's like, okay, I don't really know who Yildirim is, so with that being the case, most likely he's probably going to wash Yildirim too. So we have 2 I don't want to say gimme fights, that's what they say here on Boxing News 24, but we have 2 fights that's going to be happening next year that I want to say, when it comes to Canelo being the guy, being the face of boxing, being the motherfucker who carries everything, all this type of shit, everyone's waking up just to see this motherfucker fight. He's the motherfucker when it comes to boxing, most paid, all that good stuff. Who wants to see this fight? Who wants to see either one of these? Like, Billy Joe Saunders fight, man, is long past due, bro. It's long past due. And then y'all can see in his comments, too, like, they're talking about maybe Billy Joe versus Andrade, right? But I'm like, with that being, but if they're trying to make a deal where Billy Joe is going to be fighting Canelo, there's no way they're going to give Billy Joe Andrade because there's no way Billy Joe is going to win that fight. But people aren't talking about it. Demetrius Andrade is talking about it. So I'm going to show you guys the difference. So this is what we got, man. So I'm not gonna be long-winded when it comes to Canelo's situation. I'm not gonna be long-winded, but this is his next 2 opponents for 2021. So y'all heard it here first. I don't know if anyone else is covering it, but if y'all want to know who the fuck Canelo was fighting in 2021, you got it right here. His WBC mandatory and Avni Yildirim. That's gonna be on February 27th, and then WBO super middleweight champion Billy Joe Saunders. They're hoping they can make that happen for the Cinco de Mayo weekend. You know, that's what they're talking about. So how I feel about that, it is what it is, man. I don't know why people ain't surprised, man. We all just waiting to hear, you know what I'm saying, Canelo versus Plant, Benavidez, you know, Jamal, Andrade. That's what we're waiting to hear. Those are the fights we want to see. Hopefully we get them sooner or later. Maybe we don't. People want to see Canelo versus Artur Beterbiev. That's not going to happen, though. I don't see Canelo going back up to heavyweight. I think he's going to make his home at super middleweight. And anyone who wants to, you know, compete with him, come to him. You know what I'm saying? So I also had in there Errol Spence's opponents for 2021. It was also announced. I will not be long-winded with this. I'm just kind of through everything. Here we go. This is what he said himself. A Porter rematch may be good. The first fight was an exciting fight. The second one would probably be like the first one. What about a fight with Keith Thurman, they're asking, who's been calling Spence out profusely? He said, I don't know. I like Ugas. He's a real fighter. That's a good fight. I like that. He's a guy that would fight anybody. He's on a winning streak now. I like him as a fighter, and that could be a good fight. As for Pacquiao, it's really up to Pacquiao. Well, so that's what we have when it comes to, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we don't have anything as concrete as what, you know, we had when it comes to Canelo, because we had dates, we had actual arenas, all that good stuff. This is more so what Spence is thinking about. And a lot of times, like I said, Canelo's a different fighter than most fighters. He doesn't usually come out and say, this is who I want to fight, this is who I want to fight. He'll always say, if it is, it'll be like, man, I'll give him a chance, woo, woo, woo. But it's never nothing like, here's who I'm looking to fight, right? He does not do that. He kind of lets the media dictate that. Most fighters do it this way, where they say, hey, this is who I'm thinking about. So I see Spence versus Ugas happening. I see that as a very, I see Spence versus Ugas, and I see Spence versus Porter 2 happening next year. That's what I see as the two fights happening. There's no way Terrence Crawford versus Earl is going to happen. I don't see Earl versus Manny Pacquiao happening. Like, I see the Manny Pacquiao fight. I see that going to either Mikey Garcia, which we've been talking about for a long time, or it's going to Terrence Crawford. I truly believe that. But Ugas versus Spence, 2021, and Spence versus Porter 2. Yeah, and what I hate, one thing I do not like when it comes to Earl, I love Earl. One thing I don't like is how much he disregards Keith Thurman. I do not like the way he disregards Keith Thurman. I don't like how the boxing community disregards Keith Thurman, because a lot of times when I hear a motherfucker disregard Keith Thurman, I be like, man, you must be new to boxing, because Keith Thurman is a dog. Just because he lost to Manny Pacquiao, you cannot discredit him. My problem with Keith Thurman is how inactive he is, so that does give people a lot of room to say what they want about the man. But Spence versus Keith Thurman is a fight I feel like should happen. I feel like it would do good numbers, and it was something people would want to see. But I think Spence has some pretty big beef with Keith, and he doesn't believe he deserves shit. But I do believe that fight should happen. I do believe we should see Spence at Keith Thurman at some point. But obviously Earl don't think that. Earl thinks Keith Thurman doesn't do nothing for his legacy, and honestly he doesn't, because Keith Thurman has been so goddamn inactive for the last 3-4 years. So Keith Thurman kind of shot himself in the foot when it comes to that. He's kind of in the Demetrius Andrade territory when it comes to that joint. But that's what I see, man. I see Spence fighting Porter again next year. I see Spence fighting Ugas next year. Like, that's literally what I see. The only way he's going to fight Pacquiao is if Pacquiao wants that joint. I don't see why Pacquiao would, pick that fight out of everything. I think Pacquiao's looking for the big money fights, and a big money fight would be for him. For him, his promotional company, which obviously is with Al Heyman and PBC, I think he got one fight left on that joint. Either to do it with Mikey Garcia, which is going to sell more, or to do that joint, which I don't actually think the Mikey Garcia fight is going to... I don't think he should pick Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia's been inactive so long, and I feel like his buzz kind of died down. When he had a big buzz about 2 years ago, people was loving Mike Garcia. Now I don't think no one's checking for him. So I think Manny Pacquiao has to make a decision between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, and he might go with Terrence Crawford just because Terrence Crawford is a little bit smaller than Spence, and he may be able to kind of get a little bit more money out of that, with it being with ESPN and all that good stuff, Top Rank. But these are just speculations. So Canelo's fights, these are pretty legit, man. Canelo to fight Yarde on February 27th and Saunders in May. Those are projected opponents. We're not hearing nothing about Caleb Plant. We're not hearing nothing about Jamal Charlo. We're not hearing nothing about Andrade. We're hearing about Yarde, his WBC mandatory, and Billy Joe Saunders in May. When it comes to Spence himself, from his own words, says he likes Ugas as someone he would look to have a fight with, and then he also likes a Sean Porter rematch. So that's most likely what we'll see from him next year. We might have a wrench thrown in there with Manny Pacquiao, but that's only if Manny Pacquiao feels like it makes sense. That would be an interesting fight. I just don't see why Manny Pacquiao would take that fight at this time, though. It doesn't really make much sense. Keith Thurman completely out of the picture, unfortunately. All right. So that's the projected opponents for 2021 when it comes to Errol Spence and Canelo, the two biggest names when it comes to boxing, in my opinion, aside from a couple of the heavyweights. We got Canelo fighting Yarde and on February 27th, and then we got Canelo fighting Billy Joe Saunders in May. That's the projected. That's what's projected. Then obviously Errol Spence is Ugas and Porter 2. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. I'm not gonna be on much longer. I've been already long-winded enough. Anthony Yarde, time for change, could leave Tundi Ajayi. So this is something I may go a little bit more in depth in when I feel like I got a little bit more time, but everyone's been calling for it. Everyone's been saying it's been necessary. Everyone's been criticizing the motherfucker so goddamn much. Is it finally starting to become a reality? Is Yarde starting to doubt his longtime trainer manager, Tundi, the guy who basically saw him outside of his gym on the street, wasn't doing shit, brought him in and saw a superstar in him and built him up to where he is now, after losing basically not 2 in a row, but losing 2 of his biggest fights of his career. There's some questioning happening. So that's what he says. As it stands now, Tunde is my manager. Tunde is my trainer. We've done a fantastic job, but changes need to happen. There's going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of discussions. I won't say I'm going to leave Tunde. I won't say I'm going to stay with them. So no legitimate, solidified answer on what he's going to do. So he hasn't said anything. In this article, he says, Yarde looked like he had no understanding of how to get past Arthur's jab, which was weak. I do agree with the fact that Arthur's jab was weak. I do disagree with the fact he had no idea of how to get past Arthur's jab. And me, I've already talked about this fight. I've watched it. Also did a video. I got a lot of pushback for it. A lot of people said I don't know boxing. A lot of people said I don't understand shit. And I understand because UK fans, when they watch boxing, it's very different how they judge and how they see boxing. They're a lot more prettier with their shit. You know what I'm saying? They like to see that jab working all day, and they feel like if the jab is landing and they're staying on the outside, that's a W. America, we're a little bit more grittier when we watch our shit. We want to see a little bit more action. We want to see you pressing forward. We want to see you adjusting, making changes, trying to get some shots in when you couldn't get the shots in. A lot of times we'll score the winner to the aggressor. So it's all kind of how you see boxing. But whether or not you think Yarde lost, whether he thinks he won, for him to start questioning Tunde as his trainer, whether it's trainer or manager, I don't think that's the way to go. I think what he's doing, and this is such weird. Look at this. You have it 115, 114, Arthur 115, 114, but 117, 11 Yarde. Like, look at that. So one of the judges saw how the fuck I saw it. But Yarde is at the point of his life, though, in my opinion. It's like, what do you want to do when it comes to boxing? Because you reached the pinnacle that you never expected to reach. And Arthur said he revealed he had a right hand injury, but fuck all that shit. But anyways, I'm like, what is the pinnacle you're trying to reach? Because you already kind of reached the pinnacle that I'm pretty sure y'all did not expect to reach, and a lot of people doubted y'all, and y'all got there, right? So in my opinion, I think it has nothing to do with the training. I don't think it has nothing to do with the trainer. I don't think it has nothing to do with Yarde. I think it's just more so, short-sightedness. What do I mean by that? Everyone doubted them to even get this far, right? And they got there. And I think once they got there, once that Kovalev fight happened, the foot on the gas kind of shifted. They wasn't trying to hit 80 miles per hour every time. They're like, man, I'm cool cruising at 45. They got a big payday. They gave Kovalev a hell of a fight. People didn't expect him to give that fight, and the respect for Yarde was earned. And I feel like rather than going for his goal, a goal for a motherfucker who's been doing it since they were 6, 7, 8 years old, 10, 15 years old, whatever it may be for boxing, is to be the best, undisputed, right? A dude like Yarde, who started at like 21, 22, 23 years old, whatever it may be, his goal was just to show that, hey, look, I don't got to have the same upbringings as what you say boxing motherfuckers can have. I can start dedicating myself, and I can still make something lucrative, and that's what he did. So that's what I think it is. I think it hit its ceiling. A ceiling that they created for themselves, right? And so now what I think is not time for change. It's time to sit down and be like, okay, well, what do you want to do, Yarde? Do you want to fight the best in the world? Do you want to have a mega fight with Joshua Buatsi? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to one day maybe fight Beaterbiv? You know what I'm saying? Do you maybe want to fight the best of the best at the light heavyweight division? Is that what you want to do? Or are we solid and happy that we were able to basically shut the fucking critics up, do something that's literally unheard of, and just keep making money? Because that's how it seems. Because after that goddamn Kovalev fight, the 2 fights that he took in between before this Arthur fight was some bullshit. Was some absolute bullshit. Either way, I still think Yarde won the fight. I think Yarde is a magnificent talent. I think he gives Buatsi a lot of trouble. But have him and Tunde hit a ceiling that they created for themselves. All right, and last but not least, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of interest on this. Demetrius Andrade is willing to take a pay cut to fight Billy Joe Saunders. This can be a whole different fucking live stream, so I'm not going to go too much into it. He said, this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to take less money. The same amount of money to fight mandatory Liam Williams. I would take that money to fight Billy Joe just to show him this is what I want, this is what I deserve, this is what I'm going to take. We're going to take it to another level, and that's what I'm trying to do, man. I feel like I've been hearing Andrade talk that shit like this for the last 3 years. I'm going to put myself at risk because a lot of fighters want to fight the easy guy. It's not the big name in the make. Look, man. You want to take the risk, but other motherfuckers don't. It does not make sense for people to fight you, Andrade. Billy Joe Saunders, he can either fight you or he can wait in the wins, fight a bum, and hopefully get that Canelo fight. What the fuck you think he gonna do? You know? And so his next option, Hearn is pushing the zone for Gennady Golovkin versus Demetrius Andrade. I don't see Triple Chief taking that fight. There's no reason for him to take that fight because in my personal opinion, at the age and where Triple G is at now, I don't think he's interested in belts. I think he's interested in the fights that he wants to fight, make him look good, and he's just waiting for that goddamn Canelo opportunity again. I think that's what this is all about. You know, but that's my opinion. But anyway, salute to the people, man. I've been on here longer than I wanted to. I didn't even want to be here on here this long, man. Salute to anybody who walked up in here, got up in here, you know what I'm saying? Show some love. Please hit that like button if y'all haven't hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if y'all ain't subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be back tomorrow with a little bit more topics. I'm going to be back Thursday with a little bit more topics, you know what I'm saying? Maybe shorten it up a little bit. And I will obviously be here Saturday. We're going to go live for that Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell fight. So we're going to be on that for sure, for sure. So salute to the people, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Hopefully, y'all subscribe to the channel. If y'all not subscribed, either way, man, enjoy your fucking Tuesday, man. I hope y'all had a good Christmas. New Year's is coming this week, so hopefully y'all have a good New Year's. And you know, get litty. Fuck the rest of the bullshit, man. And I salute to the people, man. I salute to everyone out there, man. Stay safe. Fuck COVID, man. You got to do the best you can. And get that money, goddammit. And enjoy the rest of your night, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to get up out of here, man. Join the Black Goose family. Hit that subscribe button. Salute to the people. Do something every day. I know